In Johnson County, search and recovery efforts pick up again today, and those still affected by recent storms and heavy flooding.
On WKYT this morning, a fire has destroyed a building at a Bourbon County stockyard this morning. Investigators still trying to find a cause for that fire.
The FBI says it still doesn't know what motivated a lone gunman to open fire on members of the U.S. military. I'm Kenneth Craig in Chattanooga, Tennessee with the very latest.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT This Morning.
Hey there, good morning and welcome into WKYT This Morning on your Friday. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Rebecca Smith. Hope you're having a great start to your day leading into the weekend, and what a week it has been.
It has been, with all that flooding out in eastern Kentucky, and hopefully a chance for those folks to get things kind of back straightened out, and for everybody to sort of enjoy a little bit of warmer weather.
Hopefully we can get somewhat back to normal here, Micah.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to. As we look toward the outside, it's right around 70 degrees. Yeah, when you wake up and see 70 degrees on your thermometer, you know, and here comes some really warm air. And it looks pretty good out and about. I don't see much of an issue, maybe some patchy fog here and there. But you look toward the icons, and I know a lot of people always say, well, you have the icon with the rainfall, and that means it's going to rain, right? No, I mean, when you see just the icon of rain, and just for you that only look at that, just know that that's the better chance. This, small chance. I mean, you're talking about a stray shower thunderstorm. We just can't rule it out. 90 degrees, that's going to be the call, and that is going to be the story as we head off towards your weekend. A summer-like feel. I'll get right into that in your full forecast in just about 10 minutes.
Okay, we'll see you then. Thank you.
Well, the FBI is leading the investigation into what caused a lone college-educated gunman to open fire at two military facilities in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Authorities say Mohammed Yusuf Abdulaziz killed 4 Marines at a training facility before he was killed himself. Kenneth Craig has the latest from Chattanooga.
It's been a tragic and long and sad day.
People in Chattanooga came together in prayer late Thursday night after a shooting rampage left 4 Marines dead and 3 other people wounded earlier in the day. Federal and local investigators are now looking into the background of the gunman for answers.
We are checking every possible place that he could reside or could have resided, visited, where he's shopped, where he went to school.
Using an automatic rifle, authorities say 24-year-old Mohammed Yusuf Abdulaziz opened fire on the Marines at this military facility Thursday before he was shot and killed by police. While the Kuwait-born gunman was not on the government's radar, a source tells CBS News his father was under investigation years ago for possible terror ties. That probe did not lead to an arrest. At this point, authorities aren't sure what motivated Abdulaziz to first open fire here at this strip mall before driving 7 miles away and killing those Marines, but they are looking into whether he was motivated or influenced by ISIS.
We do know ISIS for the last several weeks has been putting out social media across the world telling people that they will enjoy 10 times the reward in the afterlife if they commit an act of jihad as a martyr for ISIS.
Authorities plan to analyze the gunman's computer and phone records for clues. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
And the names of the 4 Marines are not being released until all of their families are notified. The 3 other people who were wounded in the attack and remain hospitalized this morning.
Well, in the wake of the attack, Homeland Security is stepping up monitoring at certain federal facilities. Critical response vehicles have been sent to provide extra security at military recruiting stations in New York City.
The New York Police Department says they have not received any specific threats, but they want to increase security until more is learned about the attack in Chattanooga. Happening today, WKYT has partnered with the American Red Cross to show victims of recent flooding that Kentucky cares.
Yeah, 3 people died in Johnson County. 1 man still missing there. Such a bad situation for those folks. Many others are trying to pick up the pieces as recovery efforts continue. Michelle Chamberlain is at the live desk with more. Michelle, good morning.
And Bill, and as you guys know, we're hearing so many heartbreaking stories from the flood victims of Johnson County, including a search for a missing man. State police say 34-year-old Scott Johnson is the only person confirmed missing. Kevin Johnson, his father, hasn't seen his son since Monday, the night of the flood. He said Scott went to save his grandmother, and when bringing her out, they both were swept away by the water. The grandmother, Willie Pennington, was one of the bodies found. Scott was able to save a child in the process, but his father recalls a scene he will never forget.
And they said he hung there for probably 10, 15, 20 minutes, I'm not sure. And he was doing good, hanging on to him. I want to find him. I keep hoping for God to show me a miracle and find him alive, but I realize that probably ain't going to happen.
Such a sad story there. We at WKYT want to help families like Johnson's and other flood victims who need it the most at this time. We'll be joining forces with American Red Cross for Kentucky Cares. Volunteers will take donations over the phone from a special donation call center in our studio. Money raised will go to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. If you would like to help, please call between the hours of noon and 6:30 today. You can call 859-299-5455 or toll free at 1-855-257-2700. And Rebecca and Bill, this is our way to help out those in need. From the live desk, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
All right, and looking forward to lots of calls here later today. Michelle, thank you. Even as destruction remains, we're hearing some amazing stories of survival out of Johnson County. Marilyn Stambaugh says she and her family were inside their home as the water quickly rose Monday night. At one point, it was getting very close to the ceiling, and her family simply couldn't escape.
There were no way. It was moving too fast. If you'd have got out, you'd have went with it. And I said, if I'm going to die, I'll die here. I don't want to be there. They won't find you.
She says her son knocked a hole in the ceiling, and the family used that to breathe. After about 30 minutes, she says the water finally went down, and they were able to leave the home. The home has extensive damage, but Stambaugh says she plans to rebuild.
Well, new this morning, Bourbon County firefighters are investigating a fire that destroyed a building in a stockyard. Crews tell us they were called out to the Paris stockyards on Millersburg Road around 10:30 last night. When they got there, they say they found flames consuming a side building next to one of the main barns. They say no animals or people were hurt. They're not sure exactly what caused the fire.
And we're tracking the investigation into a Nicholasville shooting this morning. We've learned that the alleged shooter has had a violent past. Nicholasville police charged Carlos Taylor with attempted murder after they say he shot Calvin Livers. In 2010, Lexington police charged Taylor with murder after the death of a man on Larkin Road. A year later, Taylor was convicted of reckless homicide after his lawyers claimed he was acting in self-defense. He was released from prison in 2012 after getting credits for good behavior and time served. An event set up by an organization with a message that Lexington Park can be safe for families. Let some families have some fun. Last month, 5 people were shot during a basketball game at Douglas Park. One of them later died. Since then, questions have been raised about the park's security. But last night, the We Care organization set up a family movie night. Organizers say they want Douglas Park to be a safe place for everyone.
With the incident that happened several weeks in this park, it brought back some negative effects, but now we want to take our park back, and because the park didn't do anything to us.
Along with the showing of the movie Annie, the event also featured food and games for families. Another movie night will be held at the park coming up next Thursday.
Well, in your international news this morning, a year has now passed since a Malaysia Airlines flight was shot down over Eastern Europe, leaving many questions in the wake of the disaster. All 298 people on board died when flight MH17 was shot down over eastern Ukraine. Nearly all those passengers were from the Netherlands. While an international investigation has been launched into the crash, no one has been held accountable yet. Some investigators, however, have identified suspects. A canine officer here in Kentucky is getting international attention. This dog named Bear is one of only 3 dogs in the country who can sniff out electronic storage devices. And he's working to catch suspects involved in child pornography investigations in Louisville. Officers say training Bear cost twice as much as a drug-sniffing dog, since it took them twice as long to train him.
If you hold some marijuana in one hand and a SIM card in the other, and you just smell the marijuana and smell the SIM card, to us, there's no odor coming off the SIM card. And to the dog, even though they have a highly great sense of smell, it's a lot more difficult for them to get an odor off of that.
Clark says it took scientists about a year to isolate a compound of the SIM cards that the dogs could smell. Man's best friend really has some amazing talents. They can even sniff out cancer.
There you go. And
that's what they say.
Very, very specially trained dog there.
Yeah. cute pup. Starting tonight, a major portion of a road in Lexington will be shut down for the weekend.
Could cause some trouble. Old Frankfort Pike will be closed from New Circle over to Enterprise Drive. WKYT's Mark Barber is live from the road with a look at how this could affect your weekend plans. Mark, why is Old Frankfort Pike being shut down this time around?
Good morning, Bill. Well, crews are shutting it down to re-widen and rebuild these on and off ramps right here. Now, they say that as they are building them, they're putting them much farther from New Circle Road. As you can see, they're much farther over to the right. So when they reopen this part, when they open all these roads, drivers are going to have to pay extra attention to make sure that they hit these new ramps just fine. Now, here's what you need to know about these road closures. Starting at 7 p.m. today, Old Frankfort Pike will be shut down from Enterprise Drive over to New Circle Road. Now, the closures will last through the weekend. The outer loops ramps to and from the bridge will also be closed, but the inner loops will stay open. There are quite a few homes and businesses off this exit. The Humane Society and the Fayette County Detention Center are also here. So if you drive through this area, you will need to find an alternate route. So if you are looking for a way to get around the construction, don't worry, we have you covered. If you're coming from the west, you will want to take Enterprise Drive. From there, traffic will be detoured outbound to Alexandria Drive. And crews will be working nonstop to finish this up by this weekend. We're hoping to have everything finished up and reopened by 6 a.m. on Monday. Live in Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
All right. Hopefully they have some pretty good weather to work.
Yeah, a slight inconvenience for folks, but, you know, really just short-lived. And there's not too much traffic on the weekend over there.
Always
so.
a little detour you can find, as we just mentioned. 5:42, and let's check live drive traffic this morning, see what's going on bright and early on your Friday as we're looking right now at our Waze map this morning. Not
seeing a whole lot of action out there, but just a little bit of a slow-moving patch of traffic on Shinaway between Cooper Drive and Richmond Road. Obviously, watch out for that portion of Old Frankfort Pike that Mark was just telling us about. That will be shut down over the weekend.
And maybe take your sunglasses along today. That'll be nice.
That would be a nice change rather than the old umbrella.
Right, there you go. Hey, a lot more news coming up on WKYT on your Friday morning.
The Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards show is known for its lime green sliming of award winners, but this baseball star got quite a different sliming. We'll take a look in 5 minutes.
And we're looking outside, right around 70 degrees this morning. Here come those big changes with temperatures, and also, yes, we have small chances of rain for the weekend. I'll break that down for you coming up next.